Oh, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about HBAR today, Hedera hash graph. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, you guys, and let's get into it. All right, here we are at 25 cents, man. You did it. You pulled all the way back down to 18 cents. It's wild, but you were there for just a minute, right? You pumped right back up initially. Right after that, you found support right at this previous area of resistance here, right at a current area of support back here, and support back here as well. I think that was a perfect move, man. I think that was a very strong indication that that's your low. You're ready to move up, and the fact that you moved all the way back up, you ate that whole move down up as soon as it happened. That's a very strong indication as well that not only are you not moving lower, but you're probably ready to start moving up again, right? You take away the wick and you just look at the closing price. All you're doing is finding support at this current area. You had a slip and then you caught it right back up. Everybody was eager to buy some HBAR at these prices, man. And I think it's going to go. I think it's going to go up a lot higher here in a very short amount of time. You know, I've done this with a couple of coins tonight. I want to do this with this one and just see. But I have a theory that we probably saw more in respect to its market cap. I'm going to assume that HBAR saw more volume than Bitcoin did on that same drop, right? On the same day, Bitcoin had a little slip too, didn't it? It slipped all the way down as low as what, 92K? 91K, it slipped all the way down there, right? And then it ate it back up. That was a lot of volume. Bitcoin had $120 billion in volume on a 24-hour basis at the highest point of that day. HBAR, and its market cap is $2 trillion. HBAR probably had a lot less than $120 billion in volume, but in proportion to its market cap, I wonder if it's more. If it is, that would be very bullish tidings, in my opinion. That would show that there is more volume going into altcoins than it is going into Bitcoin, you know, at least in proportion to its market cap. And that could be a good foreshadowing of what's to come here. HBAR, Hedera, we look at this. We go to 7 days, and then you can see it pulls up that little like box. I can't get to it because it just moves every time I get to it, but it says price, volume, 24 hours. We're going to go here where the volume spiked, right? We were at the lows of this day. That was the second, and then going into the third. How much volume did we have here on a 24-hour basis? At the high, it was 1.66 billion. That looked to be the highest that I saw, 1.66, yeah, 1.66. So we'll stick with that, 1.66 billion. And your market cap, where were you at that high? Your price was a little bit higher. You're at 9.62 billion now, so let's call it a 10 billion. It was just a little bit higher, right? Your price was at 26 cents. You're at 25 cents now, so let's just call it $10 billion. We'll round up. 1.66 billion versus 10 billion, so 1.66. No, we'll do 10. We'll do 10 divided by 1.66, and that equals 6. So essentially, for the amount of volume that you had in that day, you'd have to multiply it by this number to get to your market cap's value, okay? Bitcoin, I've already done this before. I actually got it in the, oh, wow. It's because I deleted it. It's because I deleted it. That's okay. We can do that too. Bitcoin is at about a $2 trillion market cap. So dividing that by 120 billion, which that's what it saw as well, that'd actually be a 0.12. That gives you a 16. So all this is, essentially, in the same day where Bitcoin had this drop and HBAR had this drop, in proportion to their market caps, you would need to see 16.6666 repeating times the volume that you had on that day to equate for Bitcoin's market cap. But for HBAR, you would only need to see 6 times the volume to see that same equate in market cap valuation there, which implies that you had, it doesn't imply it, it certifies that you had more volume in proportion to your market cap, which likely gears you up for a more robust kind of movement upwards. And a lot of altcoins, in fact, I think every altcoin probably has that same kind of reaction going on. That's not always the case. There are times when Bitcoin dominance is going up, you see Bitcoin having more volume in proportion to its market cap. But when you start to see things like this coming into play, it's a good foreshadowing of alt season to come, you guys. And I really do think that Ethereum is about to take off. I think that a bunch of cryptos are about to take off, and HBAR being one of the kind of alpha dogs in the pack, I think it's certainly it's going to be in that mix with some coins that run up here pretty soon. If we're looking at the price on a monthly basis, we take the last cycle high, go to the bear cycle low, You can see they've torn right through your golden ratio, pulled back. You found support on it. It's beautiful. It's literally picture perfect, man. It's incredible. Your next move will likely not stop at the 886. You will break through it, and if you break through it, your minimum target is $1.20. Your maximum target would be $3.15. You could go anywhere and everywhere in between. Who knows? Who cares? But at least $1.20. You're at 25 cents now. So essentially, what I'd be calling for is about a 5x. About a 5x. Yeah, I think a 5x, more than a 5x, is doable for HBAR by the end of this move. I think something around a 7x, $1.80 or higher could be at play here. I want to see, what about this high to low here? Bitcoin's moving down a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit today. I think it reverses. I think today closes green. You've got your 2272 up there, nice. Yeah, 2886 all the way up at the 1618 there. I do suspect you go higher, obviously, throughout the rest of the cycle, but I think a good doable area would be $1.21 to $1.80. Maybe you reach as high as $3.15. I'm not personally anticipating that. I will say this: whenever you move up to your 1414, it's very common to not reject right off of it, but instead to prod through it a little bit. You would prod through it, you'd have a wick up here and then close back below it. That's kind of the behavior that you would expect with the 1414. It's not always like that. It's probably like 60% of the time. Sometimes you do find support right at it. Sometimes you find support or resistance right at it. Sometimes you find resistance right below it. But I do believe that you're going to go up above $1.21 nonetheless. $1.21 to $1.80. Maybe I should even say $1.20 to $2.20, because again, you might go just above that 1414. And if we take this high to low one more time, I mean, I don't know. You don't really have anything that agrees with 220, to be completely fair. Maybe you don't quite reach $2, but maybe you do, maybe you don't. Who cares? I think that you will at least go to $1.21, okay? But likely higher than that. Monthly RSI, if it were to close here, you'd be out of the overbought zone, so you need to close a little bit higher. We'd like to see this month. It doesn't have to close green, but it likely does close green. At least move up another 9% or so, get this thing back into the overbought zone. I think a bounce off this overbought area would be really bullish for the months to come. But even if it doesn't get that, just some kind of recovery would be nice. We have 23 days and 18 hours left. I very much assume that by the end of this month, you'll be well on your way to new all-time highs, okay? Whenever I'm saying that you need to close this month green, that's just kind of a minimum requirement. What my expected outcome would be is that we are at new all-time highs by the end of this month. I don't think you're at $1.20, maybe there at a minimum, but wherever your high is, right? If your high is up here, then maybe you're at $1.20 by the end of the month. If your high is here at $1.21, then maybe you're here by the end of the month. It depends. So I think as time goes on over the next 24 days, depending on where we end up being, it'll give us a more accurate idea of where we could expect this move to top off. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Let's look at the weekly time frame. Go here, weekly time frame here. Yeah, slipping a little bit. The weekly RSI, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look the best. If anything, it would suggest that you could go a little bit lower, find a higher low in this kind of area, find support off the 50, kind of like you did before here, and just below it here. You have found resistance above this area too, though, right where you're at now. Resistance there, support there, turbulence here, support right there. Maybe you find support here at about 57. I don't know. It's possible. We'll see how it goes. 3-day time frame. It would make sense that you find support here on the 3-day time frame. Daily time frame, hitting that oversold zone. The last couple times you've been here, you've either barely gotten into it or dipped into it a little bit more. You had your bounce. I don't think you go back into it, man. In fact, this looks very similar to what we're doing here. You just started from a lower place than you did here. That was a little bit of a higher place. You know, here you were kind of actually in a relative uptrend, where here you're in a downtrend. But other than that, I feel like this little low area, it looks very similar to what we're doing here. So the key is you don't want to get back in the oversold zone. If you get bouncing off the oversold zone, reject the 40 and get back into it, that could definitely send you to some lower prices. But if you bounce off the oversold zone, reject the 40, and then you don't get into it and you get back above the 40, that would likely mark a low and something to build from, right? And if we can do that, you've still got turbulence in the ways of lower highs on your upper end of resistance here on the RSI, but what we can substitute with that is just as bullish as it would be to break above the 40. I think it would be to break above the 60 here, right? Because if if we drew a line straight down here and we kind of moved up like that, I think getting above the 60 would be a strong indication that not only would we break this line, but go into the overbought zone as well and see that next phase up beginning. This is on a daily time frame. The way I drew it, who's to say that it has to happen like this? But to be completely fair, it's at the time area that I would expect, which is by the end of this month, sometime at the end of February, if not the beginning of March. That's kind of the exact path that I would expect you go on for this RSI. So I think it starts here. I really do think it starts here. Let's look at the 4-hour time frame and get some more conclusive evidence on that. You are in a downtrend in the 4-hour RSI as well. You've got a little downtrend. On the bright side, you've already hit as low as an 8, so I doubt you see a lower low in the RSI. I think it's not impossible, but very, very unlikely. However, I wouldn't be surprised if you went a little bit lower. You are bouncing off of your 40, but you rejected your 50. If you went a little bit lower, that's fine. Form a higher low. Find support at the oversold area, somewhere that you kind of found support before. Get a higher low in your RSI, and maybe, just maybe, get a lower low in your 4-hour closing price. That'd be all the way at 22 cents. You're at 25 cents now. I have a hard time seeing you drop over 10%, unless the whole market does, which is fine. And the whole market doesn't have to drop, but it would just make it more believable for me if it did. The 1-hour time frame would suggest you go lower. And I suppose the 4-hour one would too, so a little bit lower. I'm curious. 15 minutes not giving us anything. Man, the 1 hour, so the thing with the 1 hour is you rejected the 50 once, but then you tested it again. And if you reject the 50 twice and it doesn't take you anywhere, likely you're about to break out of this range. And this is on a 1-hour basis, so we'd have some resolution probably over the next 8 hours. I'm curious to see. Essentially, HBAR is either going to move below 24 cents and probably go down to about 22 cents or lower over the next 8 hours or by the end of today. Or it'll at least make that move, begin that move down there. Or probably within the next 4 hours, we'd be back above 25.5 cents. And if we are, that would suggest that we are breaking out higher. We could see prices as high as 28 cents or above by the end of the day or going into tomorrow. Hard to say. Hard to say. It's tricky. It's very tricky because I want to say it wants to go down, but I'm not convinced. I don't know. I'm not. Something about it makes me want to say that you're going to find support. It's this rejecting off the 50, but you didn't go anywhere. Like you stopped. Why didn't you keep going down? Low to high. I think you do go a little lower, at least a little lower to 23.7 cents. The 382, that would make sense. But anything lower than that, I can't see. So you're at 25 cents now. I'm going to end it with that. 25 cents now. I know it's been confusing. I've been all over the place, but man, I'm trying to figure it out here, right? I'm seeing a bunch of things that the indicators aren't the easiest to read either right now. They're telling me one thing, but my gut is telling me another thing. And then also beyond the fact that they're in a downtrend, the 4-hour is showing that it wants to be done soon. The 1 hour, it looks bearish, but at the same time, it's got this bullish posturing about it, especially with the double tap on the 50 and just no progress to the downside. In fact, you have higher lows, if anything. It doesn't seem to me like you would see anything dramatically lower. But you did get below your 236, so that automatically makes me think you would at least hit your 382. I'm going to stick with that. I think that you will go to 23.8 cents, if not just below there, 23.7 cents maybe. If you go lower, 21.4 to 20 cents could be the likely area that you find support if you go lower, but you likely do find support there, okay? If you go lower than that, 19 cents will likely hold support as well. I doubt you go any lower than that. And even if you do, which I highly doubt, HBAR is fine, okay? But after you find support, you'll begin a move that takes you all the way up to about $1.20 to $2 area. I doubt you get above $2. We were thinking that you could get above $2, but I don't think that you will. If we take this low to high here, your measure move of this kind of consolidation phase, that puts you at about $1.63, which is right in the range that we're expecting, man. I think it all makes sense. So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. HBAR is going places, and it's going to take a very short amount of time to do that. I expect by the end of this month, if not likely the second week of March, we will see targets that are near $2, maybe just under $2, but above $1.50. All right, take it easy, guys. Bye.